Greetings and salutations. Tits is Cage's Kiss, the ultimate Cage cast, where we, yes we, dick suck each of the National Treasure's cinematic masterpieces and his life. We also try to cream whatever kernels of wisdom we can from his character that week. I'm Drunky Linda.
What?
Good gravy.
I'm Donnie.
And I'm Adrian, and I ain't no freaking monument to justice.
No. What is justice?
Some say bread is justice.
What is love? I am Linda, but this week you could call me Formaggio della Luna.
I don't even care anymore. Whatever.
Pasta fazool.
And that's the mission statement of this whole podcast. Yes, sorry we missed last week. I was too busy dying. But much like Jesus, I haven't risen. I am risen.
Oh yeah, I heard the good news.
Good. Good, that leaves me less work. While I was sick, I watched more Golden Girls than usual. And
by choice.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
I saw a Matlock episode with Betty White on it. Does that make me more pathetic?
No, that sounds hot.
I jerked off to Murder, She Wrote.
Who didn't?
I mean, yeah, exactly.
You don't know how much I
Who
want
hasn't
to be wrong,
obliterated
Paul.
their bits?
Oh.
But while I was also sick, I made an awesome discovery. I became addicted to a podcast called Drinkipedia. Ooh. And first of all, their Twitter game is on fire, and I love following them on there. But it's such a good listen. It's like it's a really good show. They it's three people. They get one of them learns like 2 new topics a week, and they get sloppy drunk.
Oh.
Something we're completely unfamiliar with.
Completely.
And they basically report on whatever it is that they learned. It's a lot of fun. I highly suggest it.
Oh.
Highly.
Ooh, and can I fit like a shameless
Fist?
plug in here?
That's what she...
I know we're...
Just cram it in there.
and I'm the one who ain't drinking.
Why?
Because I might have to see a friend later and drive and not wrap my car around a pole.
Is your friend Jesus?
And throw it in the gutter and say, "Oh, brother," and then get another.
Oh, Baba. I'm drinking wine for medicinal purposes.
Well, don't forget bonbons and Lifetime while you're at it.
Well, squeeze what you're putting in there so I can get through this movie.
Oh, I was just gonna say that over the weekend, Donnie totally killed it in the with the live tweeting.
What do you mean I killed her? The hook I was asking for. She went home, okay?
All right, Lee Marvin.
Bad dog.
Cool down.
That's all I'm gonna say.
But we were both like live tweeting some of the Joe Bob Briggs's last drive-in.
Hells yeah.
And Joe Bob Briggs himself liked one of our tweets.
He came down from heaven and liked your tweet.
So, okay, sorry. Yeah,
Did I tell you guys
can get
I've
back
got a
onto
copy of Joe Bob's book? Joe Bob Goes to the Drive-In?
I heard he did.
He didn't like my tweet, though, so...
Well...
Still not on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was banned preemptively.
Good.
For showing your titties.
Maybe we should mention the name of today's movie.
I would love to.
Oh, Donnie, tell us all about it.
Well, when you lose your hand and then your wife, blame your brother for the faults in your life. That's Moonstruck. When everyone judges you, then loves you just the same, everyone's cheating on someone like it's some sick game. That was
God damn it.
Moonstruck.
Word.
The worst Italian stereotypes share in her best drag persona. I present to you AC/DC's Moonstruck.
It's Cher as Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
Donnie, I have a question. Two questions
42.
actually.
This movie raised many questions.
Do you have your hat on backwards, and are you sitting backwards in your chair while you break it down for us?
You know, I have to, because that's how I approach you kids.
I'm down with the street.
Yeah.
Word.
Chair's a little awkward. Just gotta adjust it a little bit. It'll be okay. I shouldn't have thrown it earlier. I'm sorry.
A rip, a rap, a rip it to the raps, to the rip, rap, rip it a do.
Yeah, I listen to that hippity hoppity music.
But let's get real for a second.
Yeah.
Oh.
Please, dude.
Oh,
I
the
want to know
Moonstruck.
about this movie.
Do either of you want to take a stab at explaining Moonstruck?
Well,
I
you
think I
see,
just
Jerry
did.
boy, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
This is literally
that's what I
the
hear.
worst Italian stereotypes thrown
Nicolas
into one
Cage
movie.
is a dingling, brother. Well,
He is a dingling bread maker.
He's dingling bread maker. Yeah. While this movie is loaded down with Italian stereotypes, it is also so far the only Italian American Nicolas Cage stereotype movie that we've seen yet that didn't have violent Italians.
That's true.
They are non-violent, highly naive, romantic Italians who believe
Yes.
in magic and curses and luck. And you got married that time, but got hit by a bus, so no more husbands for you.
Yes. Maybe if she got married in a church, it would have been different.
Instead at the city hall.
Yeah.
Should have given me away. How come everybody want to keep it like the Kaiser?
Jesus.
God damn.
Get me the knife. I want the big
No,
knife.
Donnie, I won't do it.
He won't do it.
The big knife. I'm gonna cut my throat. You're gonna watch. This one is fake.
Jesus Christ.
Is this the part where we give some exposition
Okay.
while being totally
So-
obvious about the exposition?
So that's your Cage's kiss.
Oh, the end. Yeah, that's all you get, folks. Tune in next week. Nicolas Cage will star in Mother May Asleep with Danger, maybe. You know, for all I know. So this is a romantic movie. It's a romantic comedy. You know, it's for the ladies. So Cher's in it. She's a bookkeeper, and she's a little aged. You know, she's 37. Oh dear.
Yeah, so she's got
Yeah.
the grays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's old.
Yeah. Although, you know, the real Cher might have been a little bit more than 37. But you know, who could tell?
Yeah, she was actually 17 years older than Nick Cage at this time.
It shows.
And 9 years younger
I
than
think
Danny Aiello.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that puts her in her 40s at the time. I don't want to do math right now.
You've been drinking. It's fine.
40s and 9.
You lie down, sweetie. She's a bookkeeper, and she's Italian American. And her boyfriend Danny Aiello proposes to her in an Italian restaurant. Only he don't have no ring, capiche? So
and he's gonna ruin his suit getting on his
but
knees.
it came with 2 pairs of pants.
That's right.
So he proposes to her and gives her the pinky ring, and so she accepts his proposal. She doesn't love him, as she tells her mother, but she likes him a lot, and she wants to get married again because she's getting old. At least she thinks she's getting
She
old.
wants to have a baby.
She wants a baby! Yeah, and she's going a little bit gray. And he's about to fly to Sicily because his mother is dying. And she puts him on a plane.
Mama Sophia.
And an old Italian witch woman tells Cher that she cursed the plane.
Yeah, basically.
Strega, suspiriamos. I have the magic that come only from Italy.
Yes. Do you believe in curses?
Tell me your children.
Just plain.
Then Cher tells her dad
she
that...
tell me she don't love me.
Oh, wait, I'm getting it out already here, but Danny Aiello's like, call my estranged brother and get him to come to the wedding. And Cher's Italian-American parents are like, don't get married, you're cursed. You have bad luck.
Yes.
And she has this whole thing about luck and how she thinks her first husband got hit by the bus because they didn't start out right.
But she doesn't believe in curses.
So she doesn't believe in curses. She does, however, go to the bread place where Nicolas Cage works, and Nicolas Cage informs us that his wooden hand is a fake wooden hand. And his wooden hand got chopped off because it used to be a real hand, and it's his brother Danny Aiello's fault, or so he thinks. And his wife left him.
You know what's kind of cool is like during that scene where he reveals his hand, he was
I don't
trying
care.
to recreate the he was trying to recreate the scene from Metropolis.
Yeah, he does all the same gesticulating as Rudolph Klein-Roge or whatever his name was, who I think is also in Fritz Lang's Spies, but I couldn't swear to it.
I would believe it.
Yeah, Fritz Lang, everybody.
Why don't you just say it and we'll just assume you're right?
I mean, nobody's going to look it up. Every time I mention Fritz Lang to somebody, they know Metropolis and that's it. They think he's a silent filmmaker who died the second sound came along. They don't know about M. They don't know about Manhunt. They don't know about Fury. You know, like they don't...
All of his porn.
They don't know about...
So who's playing the bread maker again?
No. It's my friend Nikki.
Nikki what?
Cage.
Thank you.
Fine,
I
there,
can take
do
my
it.
shot.
This is the first movie of ours, I think, where you can actually see his back tattoo, by the way.
Yes.
The part where he's at the window and they're looking at the big Hollywood matte painting moon. Mm-hmm. Which shows up a lot.
Well, there's a couple shots that show his back.
Yeah.
But I think that's the best shot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have some factoids about today's movie. By the way, for listeners at home who aren't going to go and watch Moonstruck, Cher and Nick Cage get together and they had to have sex.
Yeah, she cooks him a steak and she cooks it in a way he doesn't
yeah,
like
he's
it.
like, I want it burn it to shit. And she's like, no, I'm gonna have it bloody to feed your blood.
But to be fair, I mean, if somebody comes over to your house and like that, even if you don't know them and they cook you a steak, it's common courtesy to sleep with them.
Yeah, we have to recreate that love scene because it is a very tender scene where he flips over the table and then kisses her. It's like, wait, what are you doing?
It's like, you're doing it wrong. Here, it's like this.
Yes, and he picks her up in his arms. She goes, "Where are you taking me?"
No, wait! Don't leave it out. Don't leave it out. He picks her up and he says, "Son of a bitch!"
Yes.
Where are you taking me? To the bed. And her head
take me to the bed.
Over all romantically, and she's like, I don't care. Destroy me. He's like, there will be nothing left.
Yeah, you just breened Nicolas Cage. Which means another shot for Cage.
Hey, it doesn't count if you say it.
I mean, to be honest,
I don't care. It's a freaking monument to justice.
That's right, I don't care. I'm gonna drink till there's nothing but skin and bone left.
I have no life.
He took my hand.
He took my bride. Cage where he's all hairy in his wife beater there with the facial hair. He's so powerful, and then later he shaves and gets cleaned up, and it's like, oh boo, unpowered Cage.
Yeah, he lost his power.
Yeah, he was like Samson. Yeah, that stuff was keeping him going.
Yeah. That when Cher also went full drag Cher when she went and got her hair permed?
Yeah. It's like, what'd you do?
Yeah.
Thank you for your hair.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Before we go too into it, because there's a lot to get into. Okay.
There's something really, really important that I have to.
Not unless I was going to tell it first.
No. This is
fine. What is it?
Like really important. Okay. So the music was by Dick Hyman.
Can you freaking believe it?
Edited by Mike Hunt.
When you walk down the street with a clown at your feet, you're in love.
This is Moonstruck.
Bells will ring, ding-a-ding-a-ding, ding-a-ding-a-ding, and we'll sing feet to Bella.
So, Carry on.
Okay, yeah, I will. For one thing, Premiere Magazine lists this as one of the 20 most overrated movies of all time.
Thank God.
I don't know what the other 19 are. I wasn't sure why at first, because I do believe it to be overrated. I don't know if it's one of the most overrated of all time, but it actually was a Best Picture nominee for some reason in 87.
I know, and I hate that.
Now, this is the problem with the Academy Awards, too. It's like, we pretty much all know by now that they're bullshit. But like back then, they'd occasionally basically declare themselves as bullshit. For example, in 1974, when Godfather Part 2 won Best Picture, one of the other nominees was Irwin Allen's The Towering Inferno, which is a fine popcorn movie. But that's about all you can say for it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like there was a lot of really good actors and special effects in a movie with no script that kind of ran long.
Didn't that have OJ in it?
It did. Yes, it did.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, who was also in the Cassandra Crossing. Good old OJ.
And in Hell Goes to Frogtown, or Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Oh, yeah. So for one thing, also, Premiere Magazine is also not that good. Back when I was in high school, I had a subscription to CinemaScape, and my brother had a subscription to Premiere, and it was like no comparison.
Wow.
But today's movie, flawed as it may be, is by a director I really like. It's by Norman Jewison, who did a shitload of movies. So he directed a Best Picture winner, a more legitimate one. He directed In the Heat of the Night with Rod Steiger, you know, and Mr. Tibbs. Why am I... Sidney Poitier. Should have said him first.
Yes.
Wait, am I a liar? OJ wasn't in Hell Comes to Frogtown, was he?
I didn't think so, but you've been drinking.
What am I thinking about?
I don't know, but I was gonna talk about Norman Jewison. It's got nothing to do with Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Fuck on point.
Okay, so Norman Jewison directed Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah.
And he directed Fiddler on the Roof. The studio approached him because they assumed that he was Jewish because of his name.
Was he?
And Norman Jewison is actually not Jewish. He's a Canadian Protestant. But he's like, sure, I'll direct your movie anyway. He was a good sport, you know, and he did a good job. He also did the original Thomas Crown Affair, you know, with Faye Dunaway, the amazing one with all that cool split screen shit. He did the original Rollerball with James Caan.
Ooh.
Yeah. He did Jesus Christ Superstar in 1971. He did Agnes of God. And he did the very terrible And Justice for All with Al Pacino.
Holy shit.
Which I know some people really love that one. For me, it was kind of like, this is just over-the-top hand-wringing. This is awful. Today's movie was written by John Patrick Shanley, which is surely the most Italian name you've ever heard.
That is.
John Patrick Shanley came from a career in the theater, I believe, and it shows. After this, he wrote a movie that Norman Jewison produced but did not direct, and is terrible. He did The January Man with Kevin Kline, which also had Danny Aiello and frickin' Harvey Keitel. It's a comedy about a brilliant detective tracking down a serial killer. It doesn't make any freaking sense. And Shanley also wrote and directed the much better Joe versus the Volcano.
Oh.
And then he did Alive, and then he wrote Congo, which is just a turd.
But it did have Tim Curry.
Yeah,
it's hard to go
and
when you're having a movie about eating ass.
Amy, beautiful.
oh, God damn it! I mean, it also had Bruce Campbell, but even that couldn't save it, you know, and Joe Don Baker.
No.
And actually, the screenplay was originally called The Bride and the Wolf, but a lot of people thought, right? But apparently a lot of people thought that it sounded like it was a horror film.
They should have just marketed it that way. It's
film.
got freaking Cher in it, the vampiress.
If all they did was show the moon scenes where everyone's just awestruck with how beautiful the moon is and then put in some really haunting music.
Just take out the Dean Martin. Well, you know, originally they had the Puccini opera music running over the opening titles, and then they showed it to a test audience, and apparently the test audience was like, oh no, an art film.
Oh,
like playing opera
they were hardcore Italian. They're like, "What is this? I don't know if I like it or not. I want to go home. Why'd you drag me
I
there?
never go to the opera. Instead, I go get my hair done. They take the grays out, you know. I like when I go and get my hair done.
Theater.
Capiche?
Well, apparently Jewison was really trying to direct it like an opera.
No, and I get that approach, and I think for his part of it, I think he did his job. The picture feels a little short.
Yeah. Well, because it's so rushed toward the end.
Well, yeah, no. There's also a bunch of characters crabbed in. They're trying to cover all their themes, and Shanley's coming from the theater, and most plays run over the 2-hour runtime. Most of them are more like a 3-hour thing.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. Even the ending felt like something you'd see on a stage that plays better.
Yeah, and luckily, Jewison, even though he directed these people like theatrical style, like he keep them through long run throughs and all that. Like he's a cinematic director, so it's digestible to people like us who don't give a fuck. It was shot by David Watkin, who'd worked for a couple of my favorite 1970s directors, Richard Lester and Ken Russell. He shot The Devils and Help and the Richard Lester Three Musketeers with Michael York. He shot Return to Oz in '85 with Ferruccia Balk. And some lesser 90s Sidney Lumet movies. And also he shot White Nights with Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so pretty distinguished, I think. 87, this was a very busy year for Cher as an actress. Because this year she was also in Suspect with Dennis Quaid. Which have you seen that also?
I try to avoid Cher movies.
Okay, well, yeah, but there's Cher movies and then there's Suspect. Suspect takes the cake. It's got probably one of the it's a courtroom thriller with probably one of the dumbest endings I've ever seen slapped on one of those. And the same year she did Witches of Eastwick, which was better.
Yeah.
So Danny Aiello, great big character actor. Danny Aiello's in this in one of his bigger roles, because before that he'd only been in smaller stuff. He was born in 1933, and he had small parts in stuff like The Godfathers 1 and 2, and Once Upon a Time in America, and Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Tell that.
Yeah. And then but he took off, more in the 90s, and I think part of what helped his career is appearing both in this film and having been in Do the Right Thing.
Oh.
Yeah, which was one of his first bigger parts. But then in the 90s, though, he had larger roles in some pretty embarrassing box office bombs. I don't know if it hurt him any, but he was in Hudson Hawk with Bruce Willis as his partner there, and he was also in Paul Mazursky's The Pickle. He stars in that one.
Oh,
a movie which is
right.
basically a metaphor for itself. And that movie actually tanked Paul Mazursky's career, which is fine by me, because I don't think Paul Mazursky's any good. Down and Out in Beverly Hills. Yeah, I'm going to change the channel now.
Shots fired.
Another character actor we get in this one is we got Julie Bavasso, who plays Rita. You may remember her from Saturday Night Fever, where she played Travolta's mom.
Oh.
And she also returned for Staying Alive as Travolta's mom. She died 4 years after being in this movie. The cancer took her, but she was working right up to the end.
I blame the movie.
Yeah.
Me
No,
too.
her husband, the moon, came over and he screwed her to death. That's the beautiful thing about marriage. Is the moon comes by and you're just a running monster and you can't even stop yourself. And you cry and you scream and then you have a coronary.
She was the sister on the airplane that was cursed.
Cher's parents in this are Olympia Dukakis and Vincent Gardenia.
Yeah.
Originally, they wanted Anne Bancroft for the mother, which I think would have been perfect. But she wanted some money because she's freaking Anne Bancroft. But Olympia Dukakis and Vincent Gardenia had previously appeared together in Death Wish. Yeah, where he plays Detective Frank Ochoa in Death Wish 1 and 2. And in Death Wish 1, Olympia Dukakis is a cop with no lines. I think there's no lines. I haven't gone back and looked because Death Wish 1 really isn't that great.
Yeah.
That's a waste of Dukakis.
Yeah. Oh, and
the man agreed, but the woman, she wanted to be cheap.
Yeah, that's right. There are 3 kinds of pipe. Another person whose career was aided by this movie was John Mahoney, Frasier's dad, who got to be Frasier's dad.
No, I wouldn't say it was ruined.
No, I didn't say that. I said
like...
it was helped. It was helped by this.
Oh, I thought you said ruined.
No. No,
Yeah.
no, Lupita.
Snap
R.I.P.
out of it.
John Mahoney, by the way, was also in Suspect with Cher. He plays a priest, and I haven't gone back to look at his part in that movie because, again, that movie is not good. Liam Neeson's in it.
And unfortunately, he just passed this last year.
Oh, no
2018.
shit.
Yeah.
Some girl went to throw a drink on him, and it turned out to be hydrochloric acid.
Take this plate and all memory of her away and give me a glass of wine.
I'm a little cold. You're a little boy who likes to be bad.
You know, it's sad, but I was really hoping that was a normal thing in Italian restaurants, that people are just so used to women throwing water in men's faces.
Oh, no, that's what this would have been like if this had been like a Jean-Luc Godard movie. Like, in every scene, there would have been a girl going up and throwing a glass of water on a different guy.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been boss.
That was kind of just like yet another storyline that, like,
It's
nothing to do
kind of
with-
like that movie Eyewitness with the Sigourney Weaver, where there's a lot of great characters and they have all these little bits, these vignettes that are sharing space, and it's all fine in for what it is, but it actually diminishes the whole. Because even though there's thematic connection, it actually spoils the common thread that is the plot.
well, and once again, it's because they wanted it to be like an opera, and they wanted to have all these characters come together for the final scene, and
Kind of
it's
isn't opera tend to be like over dramatized? Like, doesn't somebody die like in
Yes.
La Boheme?
yes, exactly.
I'm just glad
sort of
they
in the
had his
church of no
character there
consequence.
because it showed us. I'm just glad they had their character there because it showed us that her mom was the only one who wasn't fucking someone else in the whole goddamn movie.
Right? Yeah. No.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the bit where she walks John Mahoney home, and then her father-in-law, while walking the dogs, the super Italian one, sees him, and then he's like, "Do you know that man?" And she's just like, "Yes," and it fades out. And I'm kind of like, that was strange. That was an odd choice.
But it did prove the fact that Olympia Dukakis could get it in at any time.
Yeah, the cock.
Despite having
Just let me clear a spot for your cockers.
your father's cheating on me. So I had the movie running without sound in the background here, and it's at the part where they get to the opera, and Cage is all dolled up, and Cher looks like a man in drag. And Cage has that god-awful, like, slick-back 80s hair taking place there. And the coat that's too big.
One thing I did like about that scene was it's kind of stupid, but I like it when women call men beautiful.
Oh, yeah. You're beautiful!
I was thinking the same.
I'm here so you don't have to say it.
Did we say the C word, Donnie? Or
Yes,
you just...
that's why I just refilled another drink.
Oh, shit!
I'm not doing this for the pleasure. I'm doing this for
fuck. I
Is
even
this like
forgot
a
already.
Beetlejuice scenario?
Candyman.
Yeah, I'm gonna say his name 3 times in the mirror. If he proposes to me, I'm calling him.
Believe in me. Be my victim.
But I'm sorry, Adrian. You were saying.
Oh, no, the part where they're at the opera and they're in the dark and they hold hands there. And like their faces are all lit up. That's the first time that Cage starts looking like 90s Cage.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah, like it's like he came to be,
innocent
right?
kid, Jan.
Yeah, Donnie, catch up. Get on my level.
Remove all evidence of her and bring me a big glass of vodka. That busboy's always really into bringing him that vodka too. It's like, sir, yes,
He
sir.
really is, and slapping the fuck out of that table.
No, yeah, it's like that guy's so efficient. It's like I need that guy on my payroll. Shit, vodka on tap at all times.
But even then, like, going back to when he proposed to Cher in the beginning, that was so... I, like, was expecting them to break out in a bad Godfather riff. Where it's like, I wish to propose to you on this, our dinner
On this,
date.
the day of our daughter's dinner.
Yes, on my mother's deathbed, I propose to you,
I am calling
my
from the
love.
deathbed of my mother, and I still want the special fish. No, that's a greasy fish. It's like, oh, your mother's dying. How was your flight? Yeah?
I know, that's so fucking great. Like, my mother, she's dying. Like, how was your flight?
See, my mom. You're such a skinny boy. You need to eat more. I take it all garden.
He was almost not in He Who Shall Not Be Named was almost not in the movie at all.
Oh yeah, we didn't get our Cage update. What was going on in his life?
Well, actually at the time Cher was already signed on, and she was recovering from a car accident when she watched Peggy Sue Got Married. And she said that he was the one who kept her interested and engaged in the movie. That makes sense. And she said, quote, "When we were looking for Ronnie, it just seemed natural to me that Nikki should play the part. He was Ronnie," end quote. Now,
I won't do it,
producers, the producers really, really didn't want him in it because they were afraid that he was gonna.
You crazy? He's going to talk that way. And he does cage it up. The scene in the basement where he's at the bread ovens. That's the best scene. That really is. Because he's just chewing the fuck out of the scenery.
Oh.
Well, and they were afraid that he was going to do what he did for Peggy Sue and, show up with that platinum hair and the weird-ass pokey voice.
But that was the only movie where he did that.
And they were afraid that he couldn't really carry a movie, especially acting opposite Cher.
You notice that neither of them were really tasked with carrying the movie.
I know.
Yeah, I know, right? But she actually went on strike for the day because she was really adamant about getting him in the part. And the next day, the producers relented and called him in for a screen test.
Wow.
And about it, Nick Cage said, quote, drink, quote, "She was amazing. She saw something that others didn't in Peggy Sue Got Married. You wouldn't think a guy acting like Jerry Lewis on acid was a romantic, powerful lead, but she..."
Oh, Dean! Oh!
This is my favorite part. Is that she said my performance was like watching a 2-hour accident.
She's so nice and sweet.
It kind of makes me want to pat him on the head and be like, yeah.
Well, but try and imagine Peggy Sue without that, though.
No, I really, I don't see why they were all so up in arms at the time, because I thought it was fine.
It made fucking money. What the hell more do you want?
Well, and this ended up being his first box office success.
Yeah.
He didn't actually want to do the movie at first. He wanted to do something more like rebellious and wild for a younger audience. But obviously,
I know Valley Girl 2. So crazy, it just might work.
Valley Girl 2, Electric Boogaloo.
The Secret of the Ooze.
Let's get the Kickstarter going.
Road back.
Yeah, what if they did do that and he went back in time?
Well, they actually talked about it.
Huey Lewis in the News was on the radio while I was out driving earlier, and it was the other song from Back to the Future. It was Going Back in Time.
Oh my God, yes.
Get back.
It's a sign.
See?
But speaking of that, I also was singing Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now while I was flamethrowing people in Far Cry 5 last night.
Goddamn right.
Fucking got that stuck in my head today.
We all need to get together.
Like, I woke up with that
right
stuck
now.
in my head. God damn it.
You definitely know this is a chick flick since you never actually see Cage's mangled hand.
Oh.
He never has the fake wood fingers off,
it.
so we never get to see the mangled stumps. God damn it.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be great if there's a bed shot where he's no, okay, I'm sorry. I got a little too
I'm gonna stump you now.
I like to imagine, there was a part later on where he's looking around for it. He's like, what did I do with my fake wood hand? And Cher's like, I'm having trouble walking. I think I found it.
Yeah, I got a splinter. What'd you do to me?
That's what I was gonna say.
Pull it off!
She took my hand.
And ruined his life.
Oh, those Italians.
Oh yeah, no, that's how this movie should have ended. Is that he lost the other hand and then Cher leaves him.
Exactly, she leaves with his hand.
And then he's in a wheelchair and he can't talk now and he's by the graveyard and the grandpa comes by with the dogs and they pee on the wheelchair and he's like, Bella Luna, Bella Luna. You see, the moon, she bring, how you say, the woman to the man. I have no life.
That's even better. They break up. She leaves with his wooden hand, and he goes chasing after her. The guy comes walking his dogs. He trips downstairs and loses his foot in an unfortunate accident.
And the opera company truck that we saw during the opening credits is what scissors off the limb.
Tragedy.
Take time with the
It's all because of Cosmos.
His life, huh?
I bake bread and I sweat and I shovel the stick of dough, sweetie.
Jesus Christ. I love that man, but he doesn't know it.
Yeah, how come baby Carol Kane there didn't get more scenes?
I know, I was kind of sad. Cher just came in and cockblocked her.
Apparently in the original script there was a subplot about Cher and Vincent Gardenia there both working at a soup kitchen to atone for their sins, but they excised it. They're like, no, we don't want any padding in this film.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, why the fuck is she there? Like, she comes in and says that... Yeah, well, yeah, and she says that, totally naturally, she says, that she loves him.
I love that shit. I love that shit just on the surface. Like, I'm going to explain my walk-on character who had 2 lines. It could have been replaced.
Exactly. And then it's like, well, my planet needs me.
No, but that's Shanley writing though. It's like, it's this theater expository dialogue that doesn't really illuminate anything. It's like, Dad, I'm gonna get married. You got married one time before. It's like, yeah, Dad, I covered this the previous scene. And what happened to him? As previously stated, he got hit by a bus. See, he freaking died. You had bad luck. No more husbands.
Well, and he said in the commentary that she was really there to show that, with every romance, somebody loses something. So she was losing her love while Cher was jumping onto his wooden hand.
Dick? Yeah.
That's okay. She probably got with John Mahoney later.
True.
It's fine.
I'd like to think so. But I should also say that when he was younger, Nick Cage...
You are trying to kill him now.
Watched the Sonny and Cher show and said that Sonny Bono was the reason that he wanted a mustache since he was 7 years old. And I mean, I could see it because that was one majestic stash.
Oh, God. And the beat goes on.
R.I.P.
Indeed.
Did you know that Sonny and Cher's movie Good
Bono.
Times was William Friedkin's first movie directing?
That's sad.
So is William Friedkin.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
If you don't like my movies, you can watch Police Academy 6. It's like, or we can watch a movie that's good, William Friedkin. Ever think about that?
I should say the budget for Moonstruck was $15 million estimated.
And every penny's on the
How much of
screen.
that went to Cher's hair?
They needed the padding for it.
No, she goes and gets her hair did, and then she forgets to go to the bank. She fucked up hard.
She did. She was thinking about Nick's dick.
Yeah. Nick did.
Yet another storyline that they didn't fucking need, but they just had it there to bring
like another, we need Porky's 2 the next day. We need to find out, what really went on.
Well, apparently they just added that storyline as a reason for the aunt and uncle to come back in the final scene.
Yeah.
Well, how clever.
The best scene in the entire movie that spoke for most of us.
There's all this weird
before I move
illogical
on-
shit about destiny and all that in there, like people like being spurned to love by cosmic forces. You think it could have been about her life being somewhat together and her loneliness, being a bookkeeper, and then it's sort of unraveling, and having more complications from the money.
Yeah.
Well, actually, up until the point like where they slept together the first time, I was thinking like, okay, yeah, I can get into this movie.
Yeah, she was getting
And
her
it,
shit
like-
together. And
The part where they sleep together is hilarious. It really like
I should say
that's the
before
comic height, you know.
I forget the movie grossed about 80,640,000.
Yeah, it was
That's
a big
sad.
success. Yeah.
Oh,
Fucking
people like all the
Italians.
critics creamed their pants over this.
I know.
You know what? It's something about this movie. So this is the first time I'd ever seen it in its entirety, and I've been through it like way too many times now. So this is a movie that if we hadn't done this, I might never have watched. Right? Like a long time, like Moonstruck. This is a girl movie. Fuck that movie. So there was one time though, I think it was way the hell back when I was in college. Actually, they'd show it on AMC because AMC always shows something that's not really a classic. You know, like coming up next,
It's a
Halloween
Turner
4 and Jaws 4, Revenge of the Nerds 4, Friday the 13th Part 4. And so I thought I tuned in on what I thought was the beginning of the movie, and it was the scene where all the older people are sitting around the dinner table when Cher's not there, and the uncle's telling the story about the big moon. Cosmo's moon. And I thought that was the opener, and I thought they had this kind of like cold, quiet thing to start it off with, where they're talking about this like this sort of romantic concept, you know, with this like you know, like when you're about to be in love, the moon will frickin' follow you. And then I watched the movie and I'm disappointed. It's like, oh, this just kind of tossed in there later on. It's like, you know,
You were just disappointed during the story, the dinner. He didn't say, I'm just going to say, when the moon's out, you don't go walking on the moors. That's all I'm going to say.
beware the were-king.
Yeah, stick to the roads.
Nicely done. Cage at the time said, quote, there was an incredible pressure to have a certain amount of male power with her being Cher, of course. I remember thinking, I'm going to imagine what it will be like to kiss her. When we did kiss, there was a lot of power there. She's a passionate woman, and I didn't want to kiss her until the time I had to kiss her in the film. And it really worked. I was excited, or it was exciting. I put every thought I had about it into it.
When else was he going to kiss her? Was that just how he does
To
it?
be
He
clear,
beat down her
that was
door of
him
her
saying he was
trailer?
going to kiss her as little as possible.
Yeah.
Well, I read it as like whenever I yanked off, I would think about kissing her.
Yes.
But I guess it worked. I guess what he's saying is that he wouldn't kiss her during like rehearsals or anything like that.
I won't kiss you at the movies. I won't kiss you at the bar. I won't kiss you anywhere where all the people are. Hey, wait till I get
He's
you
wanted
home,
to have a
babe.
mouthful
Wait
of
till I
steak
get you
when
home.
he kissed her.
A nice blood. Yeah. She puts in that bloody ass steak, which I'm sure was delicious. And then no breath mint, no nothing, no garnish, just.
Yeah, steak, then J&B, and then let's do it.
Wait a minute.
Well,
You can see
He
why
was
people
pretty-
remember this film, though. It's got quotable moments and all that. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, snap
yeah,
out
no,
of
there's,
it.
there's plenty of moments. It's just I think we agree there's less of a movie than there is those moments.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, apparently he was pretty pissed because Jewison took him out to dinner and explained that he had to remove some of his best scenes because they quote unquote overshadowed the star.
Oh, is that why there was a whole movie and Cher's like, no, cut it out. He's stealing the show.
Yeah.
I think so. Well, he was pissed because they apparently, well, according to him, they cut it out his best, most powerful scenes.
His transformation into a wolf.
You know that he
I
ain't
would pay to
perfect.
see that.
You know, the moon is perfect. Then the stars are perfect. But we ain't perfect. We're here
like,
to
"You're
love
too much,
the wrong
Nikki, you're too
people
much."
and break our hearts and
That
die.
was a good scene.
Sometimes the birds go to the star.
Yeah. No, that's a scene I keep coming back to, where Vincent Gardenia, her dad, gives his mistress the bracelet. So like, it's little birds and stars. The birds are flying to the stars, I guess. Huh? And the
Like,
look
we're
on
gonna
her face
fuck.
after she gets that, she's like, ooh. And I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about, you sick bastard? It's like, looks like the birds are gonna fuck the stars.
Yeah.
You know, there's
like how
3
you
kinds
make
of
him
pipe, and I
sound
got
like,
that Sicilian pipe.
Peter Griffin.
It's the only pipe I use.
Yeah. None of that brass pipe. I got me some copper pipe right here. It saves you money.
I had to torture Lucille and show this to her.
Of course
and
you
I told
did.
her, I'm going to make 2
Aw.
bets. You're going to hate everyone, and you're going to agree with the grandfather in his second to last line in the movie.
Yeah.
You're
was right.
trying to start
Why are you
a
crying, Pop? I'm confused.
no
a
joke.
great
When
line.
I first watched it, the first time I watched it, when he said that, when he was like, "Why are you crying, Pop?" and he says, "I'm confused," I actually said out loud, "Me too, bro. Me
I
too."
know, like, bitch, me too.
Last scene, it's like, you didn't make Much Ado About Nothing or A Midsummer Night's Dream. You gotta do more than that, asshole.
Yeah.
Uh,
But we
Well,
also agreed,
apparently-
who the fuck gives a charm bracelet as a gift?
they get that scene
Hey,
earlier
Carlo
where
gave me
he's
one.
telling the people on the pipe, and he's like scraping it.
Wait, Carlo gave you a charm bracelet?
Hell yeah, I
Did
did.
it have birds and stars?
Little birds and
Did he
stars.
tell
No.
you that the birds go to the
Had a-
stars?
No, it had monkeys, and he
Bella
said,
Luna.
"I got this for you because you love monkeys. Now fuck me."
Monkeys throw feces.
Monkeys throw feces
It's like, oh.
too.
Oh, Carlo.
You haven't
some
said yet
spaghetti.
that you like my dress. I like your dress. It's very bright.
It's okay, Carlo. You're gonna die any day.
Why do men chase women anyway?
It's because we're either afraid of death or we're trying to get our wig back. Because
Maybe
you
it's because
bitches
they
took
fear
'em.
death.
Yeah, all these explanations pissed me off. I was
Yeah.
like, where's the person that will tell her the truth of like, yeah, guys like getting laid.
No.
I'm
It's
a
a
wolf,
thing.
and I've seen
You see,
wolves.
y'all got real old, you see. And that one over there, she young. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
But
the
apparently,
stuff
a
tight.
lot of people, a lot of the cast were pissed off with that final scene, the penultimate scene. because,
Jewison got a fine for that one from the Screen Actors Guild. He wouldn't let him
yeah,
have a break.
because he kept them through lunch.
Yeah, well, he wanted it. He wanted it.
They
the
just
way
wanted
he
to fucking
it,
eat,
you know.
and he said,
They're at the dinner table.
"Yeah,
What
he
more do
said they
want?
weren't allowed." He said they weren't allowed to go to lunch until they got the scene right.
Damn right.
Ugh.
And apparently,
Nobody fucks with the Jewison.
like right before that, the acting coach on set said something to piss off Cage.
You're stupid. I hate you. Birdie was dumb. You're dumb.
And he actually got so pissed off he got all WrestleMania in there and grabbed and threw a chair
Ah! They
across
should have filmed that.
and Cher looked over at the acting coach and she just winked at her like, "Oh yeah."
Ain't he something?
He's
He's
ready.
some kind of man.
Well, because like he thought what we were all thinking, like he shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck is he there? Like in that final scene to propose to the girl he met.
Hardly has any
literally
lines
the day
there.
fucking
I'd
before.
really be curious about the scenes they cut out. I wonder if that fixes it at all.
I know. Because otherwise, that was
Yeah.
just the most awkward thing. It's like, I can't marry you because if I do, my mother's
Right?
going to die.
You know,
It's like,
yeah,
fine,
no.
fuck you. I'm marrying your
It's
brother.
like a
Give me back
40s
your
comedy
ring.
where they're like, we can't exceed 90 minutes. Hurry up,
Yeah.
marry somebody.
Yes, but hey, they're Italian. As awkward as it was, he's family now.
And when you hear your family.
He looked like if he had a gun, he would have started shooting people.
Yeah, he's all depressed there in the corner.
I would want to see that movie.
It's like, I'm coming for you, Mom.
You just cut in the end of Abel Ferrera's The Funeral, and no one will question why Danny Aiello is suddenly Chris Penn. It'll all work somehow.
If this was directed by Lars von Trier.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Does that mean we see his dick?
Yes. Which would lead into when we say who would have done this movie better. You're gonna love my suggestion.
Lars von Trier's Moonstruck.
Oh,
so yeah, no, nothing.
Yes.
Nothing more romantic than fucking New Jersey. By the way.
Oh, hold on. It's going to be Lars von Trier's Moonstruck, starring, instead of Nick Cage, Steve Gutenberg.
Oh, the Goots! Hell yeah!
All the nudity you can possibly
I think
expect
I'm
from Lars
fine
von Trier.
with the Abel Ferrera's Moonstruck with Harvey Keitel as one-handed Ronnie. You know,
in his bad lieutenant vest.
Right? Yeah, no, and so then you get the one-hand fisting. You know, like you need. You know,
they couldn't do that though because it would be just way too fucking hot.
And then replace Cher with Cyndi Lauper.
What, you think I'm some monument to justice? Huh? Say the goddamn fucking words!
Everybody should be Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
Snap out of it! And then Lou Albano could have played her father. It would have been perfect.
Captain Lou's
Marissa Tomei, maybe?
Just sitting there with all those fucking rubber bands in his beard. Like, stick around. Your eyes are going to be open. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, while we're on Face Off, I have to say that I would recast him with a real wolf.
Yes. For no reason. Just
all his lines are just
wolf.
whines and barks. Yeah.
Not a trained one, like a wild one.
Like a wild child. You know, I was actually where this movie was filmed back in November. The hotel I stayed at was in Jersey City in the same spot.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I got that view of where 9/11 used to be.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward seeing that skyline going, something's not right.
That's amore.
Ruh-roh. I liked a quote from Cher. She said, quote, "I happen to think crazy people just make good actors because they can suspend their belief systems so easily. Yeah. And making movies, you have to go in and out of different realities very quickly."
Yeah.
And she said that because of that, Nikki's like her. She says, "Nikki's like me. We're a breed apart." But she also said if anyone is a rounded person, Nikki is. To me, Nikki is a Renaissance man. A couple of times I made lunch for Nikki at my apartment. One time he asked me if I was a witch. He was into that stuff. So I said, "I am." He said, "I thought so."
And then he hurled a ketchup bottle against the wall.
And then she did him.
Yeah. She did all her co-stars.
Yeah.
This is also the this is the peak of her career,
way.
by the way, right here. Because after this, she did Mermaids, which did not do so well, and then throughout the 90s, she only worked sporadically.
Yeah.
Well, and there was some rumors floating around of her and Cage getting it on.
Well, we know she did Gene Simmons, and we know she did what's his name in Mask there.
That's actually the most horrifying image ever.
Right?
I don't know where you end and I begin.
Exactly.
And I think I'm going blind. Did you notice that there's multiple scenes in this movie where Cher hides in closets?
Yeah.
She needs to come out of that thing. I want the world to know. Got to let it show.
So, what pearls of cagey wisdom were you guys?
I ain't no freaking monument to justice.
Always pay attention when baking bread or you'll lose your hand.
You could lose your freaking head.
Yes, and your wife.
And maybe your watch, because maybe your hand was the one that was in the bread thing.
Yeah.
Never take public
There's
transportation.
no replacement for the family. Pay attention where you set down your luggage, dumbass.
No shit, that was the most awkward gag.
Also, Danny Aiello could have saved the entire cast the trouble of simply lying to his mother and saying he was getting married, because she'll never know. She'll never leave Sicily.
Yeah.
And I'd say that the greatest piece of wisdom we could find from this movie is that if your partner cheats on you, just tell them to stop and that they're going to die.
Tell them they're going to die. And just remember the confessional scene.
Yeah.
Oh, and I slept with the brother of the man I'm going to marry. Oh, and I used the Lord's name in vain. What was that second thing? Let's go back
I like
to
that.
Yeah,
but I mean, it was scenes like that made me think, oh, this is going to be a good
Shanley
movie.
wrote a lot of great scenes. He just didn't write a good movie.
Yeah, it just didn't all come together.
To be fair,
feel like...
this is still kind of better than what we're used to for what we've gone through on this podcast.
True,
but
yeah,
but I feel like this just it suffered from being like having too much story and not enough time, and like at the end it was just all thrown together. And, like all of a sudden they love each other.
They had a loftier ambition for it, like thematically, than what they pulled off. Like everything is touched on, but nothing's really fleshed out.
This was no Fiddler on the Roof.
That's for sure. Good old Fiddler.
Yeah, I mean, like all of a sudden they're madly in love with each other, and I'm like,
that's what this movie needed. Chaim Topol.
They're Italian! That's what it is! They hate each other, they love each other, everything's forgiven, then they hate you for life, and then hey, it's okay. It's like, that's life.
Snap out of it!
I liked her mom's character, the Olympia Dukakis' character, where she asks her if she loves the Danny Aiello character, Mr. Johnny.
Yeah. She's like, if they love you, they drive you crazy. And in the end, she's like, do you love them? She says, yes, Mom. And she says, that's too bad.
I know.
Yeah.
The only thing she said I really loved was, you got a love bite. I was like,
There's a lot to like. It just should have been 2 hours.
Yeah. And more focused.
Definitely.
Like, you can see why people have gravitated towards it and remembered it, It's no Saturday Night
But
Fever.
like you, I had never seen this. This was a first view for me as well. It's like I'd always heard about it, but I was like, I don't want to see it because God, I just can't stand.
Right?
Cher.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, you gotta roll with it as a comedy with the really bizarre themes of like people believing in luck and shit and like blaming people for their hands.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing I love Cher.
The only thing I really got out of this watching her in this movie is I'm like, I can actually see why a lot of drag stars start out with her. That's such an easy look to go for.
I like
I'm not wrong.
It opens with her doing the books for the funeral parlor guy, and she has to take his tie off.
Yeah,
she's taking care of him. And
which he didn't even have butter on his tie.
And Jewison's directorial credit comes on the shot of the corpse. I don't know what more I could do for you people.
He's a genius.
I'm an artistic genius. They look better dead than alive. One time I took a dead cage and put the heart of a wolf in him. No consequence will come of that unless there's a full moon later.
So, you guys have anything else?
I think we've taken a pretty hard stab at it with the big knife. Yeah,
I think so. I have to agree.
Did we leave anything out? I probably would have less to say if I hadn't watched this thing 5 fucking times. You made me live with this movie for a week. A whole extra week.
I didn't plan to die.
I kind of want to die.
The damn thing's been in my system. I can't wait for Vampire's Kiss, though.
Yes, and that takes us to the part where I say, please, listen, follow, rate, and review Cage's Kiss on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. And we could really, really use your help. And speaking of which, we got 2 new 5-star reviews from the Carroll sisters and Matt Winter Watson. Thank you so much, you guys.
Oh, and we got
really
a Michelin
awesome.
star then, yes? Yeah. Are you taking the piss? Speaking of Italians.
Yeah. Okay. God damn it. So, please, if you love us, please review us. If you hate us, please review us.
Especially if you hate us.
Whatever. And, Flame Adrian, he loves that.
Flamin'.
Come find my DeviantArt.
You can find us.
Little Fox on DeviantArt. Don't go to those Facebooks that are called Leo the Fox. They're unrelated and they suck.
And I'm not just saying this because you're my bestie, but like it's really fucking amazing, you guys.
Yeah.
His artwork is really fucking amazing.
He do
you gotta
good
check it out.
Pictures?
He do good pictures.
I drew me a picture.
You can actually, if you go to our website, cageskiss.com, on his bio, there's a link to his DeviantArt page. And remember, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at CagesKiss. And you can write to us at cageskiss@gmail.com. Donnie, you got anything?
I'd like to give a shout out to Bullet 95 Rye Whiskey for supporting me through today's episode. Where am I? I'm on Twitter, and it's kind of awesome. I don't do much, so follow at your own risk at Unreal Goals.
And he's also on RedTube at The Boy Who Blew.
I'm RedTube, The Boy Who Blew, Who Knew. And I've got about 9 videos with about 1,000 likes. Thank you for the 2 people watching that.
Yay.
I have an Instagram. I'm not going to give it out again because, fuck off. I don't care.
I'm on YouTube as A.A. Smith, but I really need to update that thing.
Yeah.
And if you're so inclined, if you like horror movies, you can live tweet with us on for the last drive-in on Fridays.
You are the last drive-in. You possess the power.
Oh God, I need to watch that movie.
Glow.
Shogun.
Shogun Harlem.
We will see you next week with Vampire's Kiss. It's finally happening.
Is that so?
Ambulance.
Until then, I guess we could close with one of my friends, Amanda, made this awesome version of the song that stuck with me throughout the years. It's when it's short in the front and it's long in the back, that's a mullet.
Wow. That's much better than my version.
When the world starts to shine like you've had too much wine, you're in love. He was a ding-a-ling brother. I have it on good authority.
Put a curse on you.
I have it on good authority that Dean Martin hated that song.
Yeah, I would understand why.
It's not his best song.
No.
Do you guys want to close it with our own version of this song?
When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore.
Well, I'm not talking about words.
Yeah.
I don't know any of those Martin Lewis
All right.
songs. We should do one of those.
You guys want to just like meh, 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 or
Just go with it.
all right. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Lucky fella, Dean.
Let that haunt your dreams.
Cage.